Kelly, hope you had a great weekend. Maybe you went apple picking or to an orchard, or maybe harassed a bunch of politicians in a restaurant. That's like the latest and greatest craze. And that's what's making the rounds today. Here to help me discuss it, NBC's own Stephanie Gosk, NBC News legal analyst Dan Goldman, and New York Times investigative reporter Megan Twohey. Welcome to you all. So we begin with the latest in a disturbing pattern of harassment and obnoxious behavior that took place this weekend. Politicians getting berated and ridiculed. In one case, it was in a restaurant where Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell was trying to eat dinner with his wife, who is Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao. Watch this.
Why don't you get out of here? Why don't you leave the entire country alone?
Ditch Mitch!
They're going to come for social security.
I'm going to sell it to TMZ. He threw their leftovers at them? I didn't know that.
That is just classic with the TMZ imprint on the film. And the man who had been bothering Senator McConnell, Leader McConnell, had reportedly slammed his fists on the table where they were eating their dinner, and you can see other restaurant goers sort of pushing back on it. Then there was this. Protesters also tracked down the House Minority Leader, Nancy Pelosi, cursing at her outside of a campaign event. Watch.
Look at Nancy Pelosi right here. Look at this piece of right here. Look at this piece of Pelosi right here. Communists, you don't belong here, you communists. Get the out of here. Get the out of here.
Lovely, lovely. That was some far-right or alt-right, they described, group. I'm not even going to repeat their name because I don't want to gin up membership in their little group. But, yeah, so incivility, I mean, to put it mildly. And to me, it's like just yet another sign of the deterioration of our society. It's like what happens on Twitter doesn't stay on Twitter. You know, it comes and it finds you where you eat and where you live and where you dine with your family. To me, I find this so beyond the pale. And let me start with you on it, Dan, because is there anything unlawful? I mean, does it cross over to harassment that might potentially be actionable?
Only if there's, I think, physical confrontation would that potentially arise to assault. But this is an extreme version of the freedom of speech and the right to protest. And it is sad that it has come to this. And I think it's a reflection of the incredibly divisive atmosphere politically and otherwise that we live in right now. And you have a president who fosters a lot of this division and who operates, his modus operandi is really on dividing and creating an us versus them mentality. And it's now playing out in the public sphere in ugly ways.
There's no question that Trump enjoys fostering division. I mean, he does. But I will say this has been happening prior to Trump. I remember distinctly back in the financial crisis in 08, 09, where people were showing up on the front lawns of some of these bank executives. There was one case, I remember Nina Easton called attention to it, where there was either a 9 or an 11-year-old boy who was at home while this angry mob was out front, like screaming about the dad's actions at some bank. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a time and a place.
There is. I want to go back to the Senator McConnell thing for just a moment. And beyond the incivility of it, what is the point? I mean, do they really? And it's tough to tell whether that was an organized moment or not. But what is going to be produced from that moment? Do you really think Senator McConnell is going to go back to Washington and say, "Wow, those guys in the Havana Rumba were really nasty to me. I think I'm going to go easy on the Dems"? Or do you think some kid at University of Louisville freshman year is going to say, "Wow, look at what they did to Senator McConnell. I'm going to register to vote"? No, this doesn't do that.
Well, I would say, and I would take that point one step further, as a reporter who was in Washington during the Kavanaugh hearings and the Christine Blasey Ford testimony and the vote that followed. Those protesters, the people who were showing up and getting nasty in the faces of Mitch McConnell and other members of the Senate who are going to have to make a vote on Kavanaugh, I think thought that they were advancing their cause. And in the end, what we saw is that they actually did damage to their cause, that they really undermined it. And, to see, and McConnell talked about that, and Lindsey Graham talked about that, and I think it really backfired. So I think even from these people's perspective, that they should be stepping back and saying, is this technique even helping us?
Exactly.
Is this helping us?
There was one, Bill Cassidy, senator, got harassed in the, I think it was in the office building, by a woman, and I'll tell you what I object to in this particular, that's the office place. I'm not sure how she got into the building, but she had her 2 young children with her. And they're really young. And watch, here's what happened.
Senator Cassidy, can you please apologize to my children for ruining their futures? Shame on you for not believing women and for ruining my daughter's lives.
Now, we didn't show the 2 kids, but she's got 2 young kids with her in front of whom she's yelling, you ruined their lives and you ruined their futures. And, look, for me, I'm not a politically active person. I'm not a political person. And I believe in teaching, kids the value of protest and the value of being an American and all of our rights. But that's wrong. That is just wrong. You just don't do that. You're teaching them a different lesson.
On top of being just a touch of hyperbole there.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But kids don't understand that, right? The kids are sitting there like, oh my God,
This guy
what?
destroyed my life.
What happened?
Yeah.
What did they do to me?
Well, and this is just another example. I think that there's a reason that these videos go viral. I think the incivility of today makes for good headlines and obviously generates, strong response by viewers. But I'm just so hungry, as somebody who's become so upset by this, to see some examples. It would be nice if the media could produce some examples of civility, of places where people of differing political views and are coming together and having sort of civil interactions and come, I would like to see some of those.
That doesn't exist.
Right.
I know. I just
We do highlight those. Actually, I think when those gracious moments happen, you do see them.
Yeah.
It's the moment where the child raises money for a sick kid next door, or we do.
But politically, it's tough to find. I was like, the most famous one would be the John McCain shutting down the woman who said Obama's a Muslim or whatever she was saying, and he was like, no, ma'am, no. But since then, I'm sure there are others. Nothing's coming to mind of somebody in a big moment standing up for civility and what's right.
But there are no town halls anymore, it almost appears. There are very few politicians who go home during the recesses and actually have town halls. And I think part of it is that they're trying to avoid opening themselves up to this. But many people have said this, the obvious way to deal with this is to vote in 2 weeks.
That's right.
That is how you express your opinion.
That's your loudest voice. Right. Okay, I have to switch topics with you. Because from that whole disaster inside Washington to that old disaster that happened in 1912, the Titanic, have you heard that they are recreating the ship, the Titanic? And it's going to set sail in 2022, 110 years after the original Titanic, and go along the exact same original route. And the question is whether you would go on it. No.
Leonardo DiCaprio will not be there.
It's like you're going to pack a huge slab of wood in your
Bring a raft.
I would imagine this one's going to have enough lifeboats. They'd really be truly negligent if they didn't. But the question is, who will do it, and will they dress like the old time, 1912 version of the folks on board? I would do it. I would 100% do this.
And I think people would spend a lot of money to do it.
Yes.
I personally wouldn't go on any cruise ship, let alone the one that looked like
Really?
the Titanic. Yeah, I don't like cruise ships. You don't get to go anywhere. It's a deck chair. The boat just moves around.
It takes you places. The boat then docks.
I need to be on land. I need to be on my own 2 feet. But I can understand people wanting to go on the Titanic.
Well, this is also an example of billionaire pet projects and how fascinating they are, right? This is a particular billionaire who I think this has been his pet pet project for several years, and it's suffered setbacks. And it's just a reminder of like, wow, the interesting things that rich people do with their money.
Oh my God, totally.
Who would have thought?
Interesting is one way of putting
Interesting
it.
is one way to put it.
So I was telling
Can you
the
imagine?
team backstage that my husband's dad, who's since passed, but he was an old Southern gentleman, and he one time when Yates, our now 9-year-old, was a baby, was bouncing him on his knee, and he's singing him. He always used to sing him these old folk songs, and you kind of have one ear open. And one day we were like, what is that song he's singing? And it goes, I'm not going to sing the whole thing, but it goes, here's, I'll give you a choice verse. Oh, they built the ship Titanic, and when its great hull tore, the rich refused to associate with the poor. So they put them down below where they were the first to go. It was sad when that great ship went down. This is a real song. Like, what? Say what? Yeah, so you can look it up online and sing it to your own baby one day.